Well, hello and welcome. I hope you're all doing well. So I had a rent inspection today, which I passed. Yay! So I hate them with a passion. Anyway, so hello to everybody. So those of you that were on the chat last night, I said what I would do if I was Prime Minister of Australia. And funnily enough, the government made an announcement today which was very similar to what I said last night. Maybe the government's watching me for advice. Great to see you too, that Amber Chick. Hello, Christine. Hello, Busy Bee. And I've been chatting beforehand. So it says, Australia pauses all flights from India amid COVID outbreak, readies aid package full of ventilators and other medical supplies. So the Prime Minister today announced that all flights from India are going to be halted until May 15. Direct flights and indirect flights. Because India's still had another 300,000 positive cases today. The reason the Prime Minister gave was because our quarantine facilities are struggling. I guess that would be true. We have, the last time I looked, we had something like 263 active cases in Australia just from hotel quarantine. So there were 263 people, isolating from everybody else. And we know what's going to happen if it gets out. Christine said Canada did the same a few days ago. It's your birthday, is it, Peter? So the other thing that Australia is going to do, they're going to send 500 ventilators, 1 million surgical masks, 500,000 P2 and N95 masks, 100,000 goggles, 100,000 pairs of gloves, and 20,000 face shields, because India is in need of desperate supplies. They're stating that people are dying on the streets because people are not able to get into the hospital. So their total infections have surpassed 17.6 million, and 2,771 people have died from the disease overnight. And there's more than 9,000 Australians that are trying to get home. Now, this all came about because the person that was responsible for WA or Western Australia being shut down went to a wedding, left Australia and went to a wedding, and people are furious that he got an exemption to attend the wedding. When we've been in lockdown and we couldn't have people at funerals. So the other thing is that they've asked all Australians to register, and now everybody's sort of registering to come home. So they only had limited flights anyway. There was only 8 flights going to be from May. So, but I said this last night. I said if I was Prime Minister, I'd stop. Well, in fact, I'd not let anybody in or out. But it's nice to see that they did that. The other thing that's really interesting, I know it is heartbreaking, isn't it, that it is such a horrible situation. And my other question is, why would you want to go to a country where COVID is so prevalent at the moment? I don't understand. And of course, I don't understand their culture. I don't understand any of that. But I wouldn't leave Australia to go somewhere else that are struggling with cases. No offense to the US, but I wouldn't want to go there. I'm safe in my own little bubble here. No offense to you guys. Good morning, Sweet Team family. So, I just wouldn't do it. I'd be putting myself at risk, particularly if I wasn't vaccinated. And I noticed that all the athletes that they're sending to Tokyo for the Olympic Games are all going to be vaccinated. None taken. I don't want to be here either. I know you all want to be in Australia. this was the states I'm flying in from there. I said, I don't understand it. This is another interesting article. So this is highlight. This is judge astounded by corrections report suggesting Richard, and I think it's Pussy. I don't know. Is it Percy? Too unpopular for community order. Now this guy is the person that those 4 officers had pulled over when that truck hit them and they died. So for a lot of the people in the public, they blame him. And what they had to do, our airports have never been shut down. Wow. So what's happened from this? This Correction Victoria have actually said to the judge, submitted a report to the judge to say that he was not suitable for a community corrections order because he was unpopular. Yeah, I've got heaps of room. I cleaned it, so there's heaps of room, Will. He was too high profile and unpopular to serve his sentence in the community. And the county court judge said he was astounded and labelled the report quite disturbing. He said that he feels that corrections are not treating him like any other prisoner. So he's saying that the job of Corrections Victoria is to treat all prisoners the same. And he says you would hope that they are not treating him any differently to any other offender, but it seems they are. Corrections Victoria confirmed the court that he was considered unsuitable for a community order for a number of reasons. So these are the 4 officers that died. He was speeding at 149 kilometers per hour in his Porsche in April 22 last year. The truck driver was jailed for 22 years. He was sleep deprived and on drugs. Plowed into the emergency lane when the police officers and this guy was. So that was one of the police cars. Now, this is going to get pretty yucky. So, he actually avoided injury because he was urinating on the side of the road. But instead of trying to help them, he made videos of them instead and zoomed in on the officers' faces. And it is alleged, he said, oh, he's smashed. Look at that. Lucky I went and had a pee. And he was zooming in on one of the constables wedged between the truck and the Porsche. Walked towards the truck and said, you beep, I guess I'll be getting a beep Uber home, huh? Zooming in on the damaged police car, he said, that is F justice, absolutely amazing. And that, although they said it's accepted that he had a personality disorder, he was not taunting the officers and made the comments to himself. In my opinion, I think he was taunting the officers. However, the court has accepted that he wasn't, so I can't. So he's pleaded guilty to outraging public decency, speeding, and other charge of reckless conduct in dangerous serious injury by speeding. He's also admitted to possessing MDMA, which he returned a positive test for, along with cannabis when he was pulled over. And the judge said that he was probably the judge said his earlier comments that that this guy was probably the most hated man in Australia was taken out of context. He was referring to the effects of the treatment by the media. So his barrister is saying that the ongoing media coverage for the case had been unusually intense, disproportionate, and the amount to a hefty punishment in itself. He spent nearly 300 days in custody, and they want him to be placed on an adjourned undertaking. So he's going to be sentenced on Wednesday. So tomorrow, he's going to be sentenced. So, yes, Peter's right. We have to remember that he was not the cause of death. The truck driver was the cause of death. He got 22 years. He actually was just pulled over for a whole pile of other stuff at the time. However, for a lot of people, a lot of the general public believe he is at fault, because if he wasn't speeding, they wouldn't have pulled him over. So the judge is just very concerned that he's not. So it's going to be interesting if the judge will give him a community corrections order. I might also add he was out on bail when he was pulled over by the police as well, which also outraged the public. So the public have had a lot of things to outrage about this case. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, whether he will get jailed, and how long they jail him for, or whether he will get a community corrections order. The judge also stated that by saying he's not eligible for community corrections order means that that there's no hope in rehabilitation. So I don't know. So that one took my interest this morning. But I know we're all interested about this doxing. Hello, Don Williams Jr. Yeah, I think, look, the justice system needs a rework. I think that for a lot of people, you know, they were police officers, and, you know, there was things, if he had done something, could he have saved them? I mean, he could have gone from, you know, if he'd saved even one of them, you know, he could have been a bit of a hero, but he didn't. Right. So let's just, our friend Katie Joy actually doxed herself today. So this was a screen clip that somebody has taken from her phone. So when she did her live on Instagram today, good morning, Trina, she actually revealed her screen. So she'd been screen recording something. She's on the Bringing Up Bates Reddit page. It says, watch live now, Tara Christine Taylor. So, and then, but this is interesting. Weekly report available. Averaged 16 hours of screen time per day last week. 16 hours of screen time per day. Per day. How do you get 16 hours of screen time per day? Hey, Rick. Rick, I've left you some files to edit as well. It's going to be fun. Good one. You feel the love. I know you didn't miss much, Jean. We just got to the good stuff. We've just discovered that KJ averaged 16 hours of screen time per day. Yeah, 16 hours. That's more than I ever estimated. I know, but so if you add in sleeping time, there's not much left there, is there? She must be taking the Adderall around the clock and just stays awake or not. I don't know what she's doing. It's pretty scary. So today I've done a couple of videos for Rick to edit. Oh, and that's on the Sunday when she doesn't work. That's right. Yes, that's just Sunday. And there was a defamation of a highly decorated Australian soldier suing the media for defamation. And I thought it was a really interesting case. Well, it is a really interesting case because, yes, that's just on her phone. Because what happened is that there was an investigation into some things that happened in Afghanistan, and the media reported on it, and he felt he was singled out, so he sued them for defamation. And the media said they've said, yes, we wrote the articles, but we deny that we have defamed. Then they go on to say, however, if it is defamation, we plead truth. And in their defense, they go and outline various war crimes that this soldier was implicated in. Unbelievable. And we start off with one person. We have 17 unnamed people now involved. We then have the Australian Army involved. We have the Australian government involved. This case has just blown up. And this started in 2019 and it's still going. And we haven't even got to a witness. We haven't even got to the main crux of it. They're still towing. I'm up to the affidavit of person 17, who was somebody that alleged DV, and they were having an affair. And this person 17 states that the reason why they haven't pressed charges was because they wanted to protect their children and family members. It's bizarre. So I've started recording it. There is some unbelievable stuff coming out of it. It's going to be an interesting case to see how the media pleads truth. I know, right. So now we're looking at the docs here. So she's been onto this. She did a whole thing today about a book. So her whole life, which we're going to look at, is about something that happened 10, 12 years ago. As you know, times are different now. Like, I can't. There's a part of me agrees with KJ that child abuse and hitting a child with implements is not right. However, this is also 10 years ago, and there's no proof that happens now. It's just, yeah. However, somebody disagreed with her. Now, it's one thing to have a comment, have a comment. So this person replied to one of her posts. It says, kids need discipline. If you don't do it, they will grow up to be disrespectful brats. Tap on the leg with a chili spoon or a flop usually gets the point across. Spare the rod, but spoil the child. I can't stand people's children who are out of control. Brats. Right. So I don't agree with the spoon or the flip-flop, although we call them thongs. Right. But I agree, kids need discipline. So then she says, I think her name should be Karen. This comment is disgusting. So she's taken the comment someone has posted. She's screenshotted it. She has then put it on her normal Instagram. She has posted it as an Instagram and has referred and said, I think her name should be Karen. Under here is the person's name and their profile picture, which means all of her stans can go find out who this woman is and go and have a go at her. Now, I mean, we all get negative comments, but I wouldn't take someone's negative comment and display it to the world and call them a Karen. Later on, somebody called Karen. My daughter and I call KJ the Karen of YouTube. There is a lady further on that says her name is Karen. Further down that disagrees with it. But of course, everybody is saying how bad this woman is. But as I said, there are parts of this I agree with. I agree that kids need discipline, and that if you don't discipline, they will grow up to be disrespectful. What is it going to take for this to stop with her? She's going to mess with the wrong person one day. That's a 13-year-old's response. You're right. Yeah. I mean, that's what. Oh, dear. Mind you, I did watch the grandma across the road whop her son on the bum and hurt it. But there is a difference between discipline and abuse. And I'm not for abuse. Yeah. So, I mean, I just find that she really, yeah. So if you disagree with her, she's likely to put you on front and center. Now, two things will happen. Usually every time she puts someone on blast, people go there and they find out that the person's not as bad as they think they are. I'm an example of that. When she called me out and people realized, did something go wrong? I don't know, Jean. I agree. Abuse is wrong, but not to discipline a child, setting them up to fail in life. Her view make me mad. So I believe, yeah, I do believe you need to have discipline, and it probably is. Oh, I disappeared on you. Oh. Well, maybe. I don't know, Christoph, and always, I don't know whether that person was harassed or not. I hope not. So we're going to now look at her live. Okay. So so I want to thank All Things Sassy, Miss Sassy, for her video. I generally go between Sassy and Mrs. Care about blanket training that Doug is using. Put a clip on a TikToker who was writing the book about the ATR religion. Yes, that's right. She keeps talking about the Duggars are a cult. Well, what is she? She has followers who believes everything she says. I think KJ thinks discipline means hitting kids, which it doesn't. Very small-minded. Yeah, I'm here. I think she follows this TikToker and says it's a source. Well, she goes on and talks about, she actually states that Derek told her about Amy's NDA. She calls Derek out. Now, if I was Derek, you know what I would be doing. Well, have I? You might just try and reload the page, Jean. Hopefully that works. All right, so here we go. Deep breath. Here we go. Yeah, you should see KJ big. Okay. Hello, Selena. Right, so let's go.
Oh. My messy hair. It's always super messy. Hi, guys. I'm going to fix my hair really quick. My barrette's falling out. Okay.
Her what's falling out? Barrette? Did she say her barrette's falling out? Did you say barrette? I heard her say it. She seems to watch and that claims it as her source. Yeah, well, she's trying. I think she talks about trying to get the woman to do an interview. She's trying to ride off the wave of this woman now.
So today, I got inspired. This is how I end up in rabbit holes. So one of my subscribers.
This is how she ends up in rabbit holes. Sometimes it's a beret. Okay. Sometimes I wish she'd get stuck out down there and not come out. Oops, did I say that out loud? Did I say that out loud?
I don't even know who it was. There was actually a couple of you. They sent me this link to this TikTok of this girl named Heather who grew up in the ATI, and she had shared some stuff about how she had gone to these seminars, and her mom had this like.
Some call it a bat. Oh, okay. I do too, Joe. I do too, Christoph. After 16 hours a day, nobody's taking down her any rabbit holes. She is the one searching for them. Whoops. Her name is Heather, and I've heard her mention the name before. I was going to contact her. Okay. Yes, I watched that today. That was interesting. Okay, we know it as a hair clip. It's a hair clip. Thank you, Rick, for the education.
VHS tape of Michelle Duggar apparently instructing women to like beat their children or beat their infants with blanket training. The ATI is the Advanced Training Institute, and it is through the Institute of Basic Life Principles. It's a homeschooling cult that is founded by Bill Gothard, and it is very sadistic. But the Duggars are part of this, and she said, oh, I have this video VHS tape of her reading or like instructing people on how to do stuff with this baby, or how to blanket train and beat a baby. So anyways, then I started watching all of her TikToks about the ATI and about the IBLP. So then I reached out to her and I was like,
and I have sped up her video. I have sped up her voice. She'll say she's her friend, not then she'll say she's her source. Your son doesn't use her.
I would love to talk to you. So she responded, and I am hopefully going to talk. Like, I've been chatting with her like on and off in DMs, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to do like an interview and with her and her mom, because I really want to hear the mother's perspective on like what it was that brought her into that cult, and like why she was drawn into it, and then what it was about leaving. Because if you watch this woman's TikTok, she goes into great detail about the abuse that she experienced and the really messed up things that they teach kids about SA and punishment.
So I should note that she goes into SA and the R word. She makes some very big, bold claims about people in this. I have no proof, and I've not seen proof to say who's right or who's wrong. However, what I do know is KJ. Threatens to take away my warning wireless. She had contact. I'm going to message her to warn her. She got all of this from Reddit. She never spoke to anyone. Well, we know that she uses. Oh, sorry, Jean. I don't know what's going on.
And she even has videos where she's talking about the brushes that her dad would use on her, or, how she would get different brushes that might not hurt her as much. And that her dad was really the one that did all of this corporal punishment.
It was my dad that did most of the discipline in my house. What I don't like is that she uses the TikTok video on both. She uses it on the Insta Live and on Insta, somebody else's stuff. And again, I don't know. Just because it's been shared doesn't mean that it's a free for all.
So, anyways, her name is Heather. She's a paramedic. She graduated from high school or from the ATI in 2005, and she's not in this cult anymore. So she's willing to like go on record, and that's been like the hardest thing for me is to get people that are willing to go on record from the ATI or from the IBLP because they are so scared of like the retaliation either from church members of the group, or their parents or their families. So once I saw that she had this video about Michelle teaching how to do blanket training and instructing this at the ATI conferences, I remember you can find her TikTok in my Instagram photos. I'm not going to like put her.
Of course, she's got this real, like the filter is quite annoying as well. It's really quite off-putting. I think KJ just finished a lawsuit. Yes, she did, Don. We used to wait till father got home, yes. And you knew that if your father got home, you'd be in more trouble. I was a rotten daddy's kid. My mum also always disciplined me. She didn't get a GED. She's doing it now, so wrong. Hope they charge for an interview. Shifty eyes. Hello, Eileen. Heather shouldn't go live with KJ. She'll somehow get dots. Well, she's sort of giving out a whole heap of information now. She steals other people's work for money and then creates drama in her off hours. Todd, come get your girl. She's going to get sued again. Thank you, Jean.
The link out on here right now. You can just find it. I've posted several of her TikToks today. So anyways, so she like has left this and she's left this cult and she's willing to like go on to record and to like have this conversation. So that got me thinking about how earlier in the year, like earlier when the doxxers.
So someone says, so Michelle encourages beating infants. That changes a lot. Wow. Remember, we're talking about videos that are on VHS. So
we're not as well known, or like we're the newer, I guess, to the world. In the, they, I think, sort of came onto the scene in like 2006, 2007. And then, they had their, like the different docu-series. I think there was like 4 documentaries that were done on them. And then like they were picked up, I think, in 2008 or 2000 for 19 Kids and Counting. And I remembered that Michelle had at some point promoted this book by Michael Pearl. And this is the book To Train Up the Child, which is where this blanket training comes from. So today, you guys, in between doing all of my videos and editing, I was literally on the Wayback Machine all day, like for hours, sifting through.
I went on to Wayback Machine. This is no lie. This is truth. This is truth, right? I'm not lying. I typed somebody's name in Wayback Machine, and I got a whole pile of adult sites. I'm just saying. So she had to use Wayback Machine because the sites don't exist anymore. They've been archived.
I even got my third video out really late because I was like so enmeshed in the Wayback Machine, looking through all of Michelle's like old blogs that aren't up anymore that she's like scrubbed from the internet. Nothing is like super bad, but I finally found the link and it was right here. So they did.
So this is from the Wayback Machine. As I said, there's some interesting stuff there of somebody else, another creator. So. Of blog posts.
Did this like Amazon Blitz in 2011, and basically what it was is they wanted people to buy their book A Love That Multiplies, and then they said if you buy this book through Amazon between June 28th and the 30th, you will receive a discount code or free materials, and they listed all of these different products, right? So they had stuff where they would get like
yeah. Yes, I did actually. I did. Well, I found Rick's old work. I didn't click on any of the links to go any further. I just went,
off, 50% off, and then when you go to the second page where it has 25% off, there it is. It's No Greater Joys Ministry, which is the ministry that is by Debbie and Michael Pearl. Why did this get all dark? By Debbie and Michael Pearl. So I was like, okay, there it is. They promoted, and if you can see it, it says to train up.
I can't see it. It's too small, but she's put a red dot behind her. Because Busy Bee, she will tell you in a minute that this proves that she's been right about them all along. Everything that she's been saying about them is correct.
A child with it. So it says featuring, some of the finest and family-friendly value-based books, audios, videos, and articles on parenting. And then it has to train up a child listed. So Debbie and Michael Pearl are these sadistic mother effers who wrote this book called...
Give us your opinion. Tell us what you really think, okay? And she'll tell you in a minute. It's really interesting because she'll say in a minute, I just wish people would just stop having preconceived notions. And they would just have an open mind. Well, ditto.
To train up a child, which basically teaches parents to beat the crap out of their kids. And this is them. And this is the link to the website. So I finally found it. I have been trying to find this connection for years. I could not figure out where to find it. I found it in 2011 is where they actually promoted this. Yeah.
But she's so satisfied with herself that she's found it 2011. But like we're 10 years down the track. Things like this is the things that were acceptable 10 years ago, unacceptable now. The things that were acceptable 20 years ago, unacceptable now.
So let me show you what I want to show you, like I shared this. Give me a second. Okay, so here it
is. None of that is online. I've never heard someone use the word like. It drives me crazy. She's proud of herself. By the way, none of those results are searched on web are legit. That's okay, Rick. I didn't think they were real, unless that's how the lawsuit was funded. I just thought it was quite ironic that they were the sites that came up. 20 years ago, good times. So I have to say that, yes, 20 years ago were good times. Oh, I don't know. I was still married 20 years ago. I don't know. And a newborn. They could have denounced it since then. Well, that's my point, Will. Or they may have modified it. I just don't know. Like, here is her source. Yeah.
Training. My mother never blanket trained me. Well, she didn't know about it when I was little. And she did not blanket train my sister, which she got a lot of slack for because they thought that she should have blanket trained. Everybody in HCAT was supposed to blanket train. How to do it. You put your baby on a blanket, and if the baby crawls off the blanket, you slap whatever limb they have put off the blanket. You can use a spoon or a hairbrush or anything other than your hand.
I don't agree with this practice. Rick just doesn't want to acknowledge his car listing. As internet archives grow bigger, I am more and more grateful my first and last name are generic. People are constantly changing their minds. Who says they still believe this way?
You don't want your hand associated with child abuse. How generous of them. If the baby is too young to crawl off the blanket, they tell you that you are supposed to take the baby's limb, move it, smack it, put the baby back, wait for the baby to stop crying, take baby limb, move it off the blanket, slap it, move baby back, wait for the crying to stop, and repeat until they're trained. Brush or anything other than your hand if you don't want your hand associated with child abuse. How generous of them. Okay, so they take the baby, they move it off the blanket, and they smack it, right? And I've been trying to tell people for like the longest time that like what you guys are seeing is not the real Duggars. And people have constantly been in my, and it's weird because I don't know if this is like, if this happens to all bloggers that cover these people, but there are literally people that will deny the evidence that this existed, that they.
We're not denying that it existed, KJ. Like, but it is right. It was child abuse to hit implements with a child. But she's sitting there smug saying this proves that I was right and I need to uncover it. But we're talking about something 10 years ago. And I've not seen anything other than what KJ has said to say that they still do that. She's not shown any evidence that is what is happening now. If it is still happening, it has to be called out, but this isn't the way you do it. And if it is happening, she's got proof it's happening, you've got to call the authorities. You call the authorities. You don't go onto Instagram and blast it all over the place.
They literally were promoting this, that they were on their website.
Someone says correction is a polite term.
And this is the book that it comes from right here in the red. So that little red box is them promoting To Train Up a Child by W. Michael Pearl, which teaches the blanket training. And the book is so disturbing. And they call it correction. And if you watch her old videos, she calls it like loving correction. And she'll say, we always try to praise them 10 times more than we correct them. So we always try to praise them 10 times more than we correct them, which is literally beating them with a ruler or a wooden rod or whatever.
Of course it existed, and it was child abuse. We used to ride around in back of pickup trucks too. I mean, a few of us have just shared the stories about how we were disciplined. And I mean, yeah. She thinks she's advocating again. I think that's what she thinks she's doing.
And the book is super disturbing. Super disturbing. It's like the most disturbing book I've ever read. And he like laughs about like one of the weirdest parts about that. Yes, correction means assault. And if you are here to advocate for child abuse, Emily, you can leave because.
I'm just trying to see what Emily said. Hang on. I'm just seeing what Emily said.
And if you watch her old videos, she calls it like loving correction. And she'll say, we always try to praise them 10 times more than we correct them. So we always try to praise them 10 times more than we correct them, which is literally beating them.
Oh, yes. So Emily says correction doesn't mean assault. And left to go to fishing on the bike and didn't come back until sundown. Assault. Yep. Bye, Emily. I know. Beating. I keep hearing us swat. We drank out of the garden hose. Oh. If she has proof, call it in. If not, quit adding her opinion. So Emily says correction doesn't mean assault. What context is the correction? If we're talking about normal correction, no, it doesn't, because we correct people all the time. If somebody says your name wrong, you correct them and say, no, this is how you pronounce my name. That's not assault. Oops, I've just lost my camera. You've just lost my face. Ah! Don't know what's just happened. My camera just died. I'm sorry about that. See if it's going to work. Don't know what's just happened there. The whole thing. Now, there we go. Here I am. I'm back. Sometimes I'd punish my kids by having them write me an essay on what happened and what they could have done differently. They hated it more than anything but worked. And that was correction, Wind whispers. Nobody can tell her otherwise. They're corrected by her being blocked and banned. So anyway, it's because she was saying correction, they were correcting. What is KJ's obsession with blanket training? I wish Toad would blanket train KJ. The internet would be better for it. Multiplication facts or dictionary words. So, yeah, it depends on the type of correction, doesn't it? Because we correct people all the time, but we don't assault them.
With a ruler or a wooden rod or whatever. And the book is super disturbing. Super disturbing. It's like the most disturbing book I've ever read. And he like laughs about like one of the weirdest parts about that. Yes, correction means assault. And if you are here to advocate for child abuse, Emily, you can leave because.
So she's saying correction does mean assault. So we can't. Does that mean we can't correct anybody anymore because we're assaulting them? So then she says, no, that was sarcastic, LOL. Stay on her snotty blanket, says Ginger League. Super disturbing, such journalistic material words.
Because this book is advocating for assault. And that's the truth. Go read the book, and it teaches parents to literally assault their children. And if you defend it, oh, okay. I was going to say, Emily, like, don't ever defend these people. Like, this is the crap that they were doing.
She says this is what they were doing. Were, past tense. Must be proud to have such a dunce airing her ignorance and biases to the world. If KJ is a true reporter, then she knows where religion gets where the rod's child. She just corrected. Yeah. Super and light should be removed from her vocabulary. Hello without us, Crystal Troll. Just as well we're not doing a drinking game, eh?
Like, it's so disturbing what these people do. And so this woman, Heather, she has this, so this is what she said. She has a VHS tape. Here, I'll show you the video. At my parents' house, and
So now we're going to sit through another one. Would KJ not move heaven and earth to get her child off his feeding tube be a form of abuse? It could be. I'd be in a coma from alcohol consumption. Says Laura.
My mother and I have been going through, well, these are all her VHS tapes. These are some seminars without, but back here are the like bootleg ones that she recorded of the seminars that she wasn't supposed to do because you're not supposed to record any of ATI seminars, but she did. And we have to find a VCR, and we have to go through and look through all of these and find it because she swears that it's on there. And several other people have said, yeah, Michelle definitely taught that. So we have a lot.
Now, that's interesting because she said they've got to look through the VHS tapes because they swear it's on there. So they may not have the record. They haven't actually got the recording to hand. Again, it's still allegations because there hasn't been the proof. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah, you can't. Oh, did you? Busy bee, good. If we could play it, we'd have so much. Who knows if the recording is any good? That's right. But KJ has taken this little snippet and has run with it. I wonder what KJ would have thought of my life. I got my fingers whacked all the time with the ruler. In school, piano lessons, my rear got busted with a little cow milking belt many times. or it could have been recorded over by accident. Correct.
A lot of videos to go through. We gotta find this. It should be hard. It's gotta be a morning video. And a Mother's Channel. Mother's Channel, well, it's always, I don't know if I label it, but it's always in the morning. Okay. We can do this. We're gonna need a lot of wine. At my parents' house.
I lived to be here to tell about it. Or like I used to replace the VH into another tape so it could be lost in that sense. Yeah. So someone says, find a VCR. Nobody has them anymore.
Like so many of these videos on her TikTok where she goes through like the abuse that she experienced as a result of this cult. I like literally screen grabbed so many of them. Here's another one.
So she's been screen grabbing people's. Didn't somebody have a go at me about putting a Instagram video on YouTube and telling me that you can't do that because it was a breach of term of service? But yet somebody else is taking somebody else's TikToks and playing them. Times change and so is discipline. When I went to school, kids were standing correctly. Yeah, it's considered abuse. That's right. What we considered abuse, wind whispers. What's considered abuse now was normal back then. You know, it was acceptable back then. Not saying it was right. Yes, I was threatened early on when I first started my channel. It was great. That's right. I only stopped making VCRs in 2012. Well, look, there we go. There you go. She stopped the stuff. So there it is. You averaged 16 hours of screen time per day last week. So there you go. There it is. Standing in the corner is considered abuse there, possibly. Remember, Joe, do as I say, not as I do, the rules of KJ. And she's got the Bates Reddit. When you have a classroom full of children, you're going to need them to stay where they belong a little while. So she shared her whole screen, 16 hours of screen time per day last week. Still blows my mind. And she was just pulling up mine to see what I did last week. Now, I actually have my iPad and my iPhone linked. So I actually go between the two. Mine says I've been weak. So my total screen time for the week was, mine says 11 hours, 41 minutes a day. So remembering I do actually use my devices for uni too. So KJ spends 16 hours a day. Yes, that's right. Because all my music is now, a lot of my music's now on my iPad. So I often use my iPad for my music, for a lot of my music stuff now. So anyway.
Kind of clicks in their brain. If anybody realizes where they've heard of ATI before, and it kind of clicks in their brain, they ask me the same things. Is this the same cult that the Duggars were in? Do you know the Duggars? Isn't that what those 19 Kids and County people used? Yes, it is. So, yes, I know the Duggars. I don't know them well. But they live in Arkansas. I live on the East Coast. But they were at every one of our seminars that we went to, every training conference. My mother has VHSs from the late 90s of Michelle teaching the mother's panels and teaching how to blanket train and all that crap. I do not like Jimba, like, personally. When the scandal came out about Josh molesting his sisters, none of us were surprised. Like, not against him in particular, but it was a pretty common thing for girls in ATI to be molested by their older brothers. And when I called that out as being something that was not right, they told me that I just didn't get molested because I didn't have a brother. There's anybody VHSs from the late 90s of Michelle teaching.
Right. So there's services we can mail out your home video to be made on DVD. Cool. Because it's easy to do 16 hours when you do 4 different 3-hour-long lives a day. True. So again, did you hear that allegation? So she's going to run with that line now. So I need to warn you, she's going to get pretty yucky. I don't even know what to say. She's going to imply that what happened to the Duggar girls is taught in the cult. And she uses the R word as well. So just thought I'd let you know.
So this is the other thing that I feel like it just isn't, they've been investigated by so many other media outlets. Like, that's the thing. But I feel like I try to explain this, and people act like I'm the first person that explains this. But the interesting thing is that now these kids are coming out and saying, like, none of us were surprised. And it's not really a bombshell, because if you know anything about this cult, if you have been following this cult, if you go to Recovering Grace and you read about the cult, sexual abuse is rampant in this group. Children are sexually abused. There is like a checklist she talks about on her TikTok of how to counsel people into being raped, or that have been raped.
Did you hear that slip of the tongue? I don't know if it was a slip. I think it was a slip of the tongue. Oh, wow, 120 people watching. Hello, 120 people. Welcome to my channel.
And they said, would you rather be raped, or would you rather be like some sort of like having a testimony for God or something like this? And so people literally feel like if they've been raped, it means that they are like closer to God. And so men feel like entitled to rape them. And then victims are never believed because it is always their fault.
Hi, Sassy Noz. I'm still wondering how well a 30-year-old VHS tape is going to be holding up. Be interesting. Will. Welcome to the crazy house, Sassy Noz.
That they are the ones that defrauded or did something to the man that caused them to rape them. And the rapes are so prevalent in this, and the victims are blamed, that you just start to wonder, like, what happened. And so in a twist, I guess you could say this, Jim Bob Duggar, if you recall, when he spoke with Megyn Kelly, he said, we talked to a lot of families and they said that it's normal. Like, there's generally sexual abuse in families. And that's because in the ATI, it is
the ATI? If stored well, it might be in good condition. Poor V will never have friends because other kids will say, my mum says your mum is a pet. Well, that's all right. Poor kid, eh? Now, I believe that there are some really weird beliefs in the ATI, and Beard Force in the chat. That's right. And I don't. I think she means ATI, Don. I think she means ATI. And I haven't looked at the teachings, but people will say that they're pretty out there. And again, if this is the case, then she should be making reports.
extremely common to have sexual abuse in families. Like, I talked to a woman a few months ago whose brother raped her and her stepbrother raped her. Like, I have not talked to a single girl other than this girl who didn't have a brother who hasn't been raped. Like, every victim that's come forward that I've talked to from the ATI or the IBLP has either been raped or molested by some.
That's a pretty big statement to make. Does she mean UTI? KJ doesn't know the difference between UTI or ATI. And again, she's ranting, and when she rants, she loses the whole point of what she's trying to do with these rants.
Someone in their family or an elder. And that's why I call this a sex cult, because the men have made perverted rules to protect them into being able to sexually assault children and women, and they use God and religion to do all of this.
That's because they are the only ones that she'll listen to. You've got to say no to these. It's just because of it. Yeah. KJ, if rapes happen so often as you say, why are you not talking to police instead of talking on YouTube? That's my point, Dom. She should be taking all of this information and speaking to the police. Messaged me back about my warning. Said, thank you. Someone else had warned me. Interesting, isn't it? I think she thinks Big Love is a documentary series. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I wonder how she would feel knowing that her TikToks are just being, displayed everywhere. Oh, is that why? Well, oh, that's good. Well, she's hoping to interview her, so it'll be interesting. I mean, it could be another Reed, what's his name, interview where she thought he was going to say certain things and he didn't. This is a criminal matter. It should be in the hands of authorities, just my opinion. I agree with you, Don. This should not be this should not be discussed in this forum on Instagram. This needs to go, and not in the KJ fake sources way, Google it. Doxxers been a story, make money off her. Yeah. Was she in a cult? A rapist can be at any address. How many people are in a normal household? I told her to research her, Joe. It is why an economic indicator made VCL win. So is that why when I put in a certain name in Wayback Machine, I got all these adult sites? Hi, Kelly Jones. But that's a good point, Kelly. I wonder if she was in that cult that she says at the time that it happened. And then is that why she's so against a cult? Oh, okay, Busy Bee.
News channels have talked about this. I feel like some people just don't watch the news because outlets have been covering all of the people around the Duggars that have been either rapists, convicted rapists, pedophiles, people that have been accused of pedophilia, all these different men that are associated with the Duggars that are either protecting rapists or are convicted pedophiles or registered sex offenders. Like, it's all been covered. I just think like people sort of have turned a blind eye to it. But I think the difference now is you have technology that is not a friend of them, because you have all of these people now who were in the cult growing up that can speak out and they can use the...
Someone says, I get nauseous every time Anna announces a pregnancy.
Their methods like TikTok or Instagram or whatever it is to share their stories, so people understand that like this is happening and it's happening to so many different people. So the other thing that I think is really ridiculous is that when we talk about this, we're talking about the ATI, which is a homeschool cult, okay? We're not talking about all homeschool. We're not talking about all homeschoolers. We're not talking about all homeschooling. We're talking about a specific group, a cult called the ATI that has...
Oh, I thought she was talking about the IBL, like, oh, whatever, the IBFP or whatever it's called. So now we've switched gears, have we? So I'm really confused at the moment.
This problem. So I feel like sometimes when you start to share things, people latch on to whatever it is that's personal to them and they take immediate offense to it. And
oh, sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Oh, oh.
We're talking about the ATI, which is a homeschool cult, okay? We're not talking about all school. We're not talking about all homeschoolers. We're not talking about all homeschooling. We're talking about a specific group, a cult called the ATI that has this problem. So I feel like sometimes when you start to share things, people latch on to whatever it is that's personal to them and they take immediate offense to it. And so if you say, there's this problem in this homeschool cult, they immediately accuse you or the person of saying that every homeschooler is wrong. And that's simply not the case. I always ask people that whenever they're evaluating anything that I'm sharing, to please remove your personal experience from it and just be objective and listen. Because when I share something, I say the homeschool cult ATI or the IBLP. I'm not saying that all homeschoolers are doing this.
So she wants you to take your objective and your bias and leave it at the door and listen to her bias. I've just found the jelly beans scratch and sniff stickers for you all. I think you all deserve one after this. So, okay, isn't ATI, ETI about homeschooling and not... it's religious. I don't know, Rick. I don't know. I think this might be the first time I've heard her specifically what she's talking about. She has no self-awareness. Everyone must be objective to her.
So, it wasn't any kind of education. I've seen the ATI. It's horrible. Yes, the Bates family is in this cult. That's why I've said repeatedly that they're not any better. They might be more vanilla and have fewer scandals, but they're not any better because they're promoting these really toxic, scary ideals for women.
Take your personal bias out, yet she injects her personal bias in everything she talks about. Wow, how ironic. I know. So take your personal bias out. But you need to listen to my bias and subscribe to that. I'll specify. Okay. It's really bizarre.
I'm trying to see here. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm trying to find. I think I took a screenshot of something Michelle wrote. But I don't. Oh, I can't find it. Warren Jeffs, you mean? Do any of the Amy Duggar follows me? But okay, and this is the other thing, you guys. Amy Duggar is not my source. I can't even tell you how many times she's not.
I don't know how she got onto that. Cult people don't connect on social media and others outside the cult. No, they don't.
Not my source. I don't ask Amy anything about her cousins because she has an MBA and she's not my source. So, but no, Amy Duggar follows me. But I've seen some of the Wismans, like Stephen or Hannah, that family, the ones that are supposedly dating Jeremiah and Jana. I've seen some of them watching my stories. I see a lot of fundies that watch my stories. I have a lot of fundies that know the Duggars that watch my stories. So that's kind of where we're at.
It says, can your Instagram lives be watched late? I often miss them in real time, but can't seem to find them later to watch. Oh, come to me. You can watch them with me. Because she doesn't keep them.
All this. So I'm going to hopefully, the problem with the ATI is that it's they've already gone after Bill Gothard, but he's not in jail. None of these men are in jail because the women don't speak out. They don't actually.
Well, isn't the old saying, if there's no victim, there's no crime? I'm not saying it's right, but unless you've got people speaking out, what can the authorities do?
They don't speak out and they don't respond, or they don't like go to authorities because they teach them not to report it to police. And then the victims blame themselves. And so you end up just in a situation where the men just continually are perpetrating, raping, and sodomizing children, and none of this gets reported because they're taught not to report it.
I love to listen to Katie. I learn from her. Well, I guess I can say I learned too. I learned what not to do.
And then the victims are blamed for everything. And it just has created this really toxic, abusive cult that is literally on our TVs every single day, with the doxxers promoting the family conference and all of the sick and twisted, gross things from the IBLP through their website. And it's like, Amy just seems like someone you're genuinely friends with. So Amy can't talk about them. And I like Amy as a person. And I am the kind of person that respects boundaries. And I don't expect someone who has an NDA, who has locked into an NDA that could be getting a $500,000 fine. I'm not going to ask that person.
How does she know how much it costs her to break the NDA? That's what I'd like, for somebody that she knows so much.
And to break that NDA, do you understand like how detrimental or like life ending in terms of financially that could be to her family? I'm not going to even ask her that, you know. It's just not that important to me. Not to mention, I don't think people realize that Amy doesn't have a close relationship with them. She hasn't for years. So Amy doesn't know anything. Amy can't give you information. That literally the only person that she really talks to is Jill. And Jill has been ostracized by all of them. So I'm not going to go to Amy and be like, Amy, can you tell me that?
Correct. So she's going to say that Derek has said about, told her about the NDA and the stuff. So she calls out Derek. So, I mean, if I was any one of KJ's sources, I'd be really worried, because it's only a matter of time before you get named and shamed.
So, yeah. It's a non-disclosure agreement. It basically means that you don't get to talk about someone, or else you can go to court and they can take money from you.
Oh, sorry, we're going to get law with KJ now. Everyone got their pencils out. We're going to take our notes. Hi, Tia. Your NDA. Okay, ready to get you. Have you all got your notes? Your notes. I've got my pen ready to take my notes, because we're going to get law. I have gotten out of NDAs and never spent a cent, says Don. Well, you're about to, Don, you're about to have that point disputed in our legal lesson. So it says, can NDAs become null and void if they're being used to cover up crimes? No cheating. Hello, the Queen of Roblox. Okay, everyone's ready? Okay, here we go.
Amy's not the black sheep of the family. That's the other misconception about Amy. She's not. She's not their sibling. She's not anything. She's a cousin. So you're not a black sheep of a family when you're not like in that immediate family. Period. She's not a black sheep. She's not a rebel. She's nothing. Amy is a normal human being that has been unfairly called a rebel, unfairly labeled.
Hang on. Isn't that from you? Are you watching, Poppy? Because, like, I'd be interested in your take.
A bad person because she wore shorts and a bikini. Like, think of how that would actually make someone feel. Like, she was honestly like a teenager when all of this was happening, and they put her in a position where they demeaned and degraded and made her feel bad for who she was. And that's not cool. And she was put in a position where she had no idea that Josh had done these things to his sisters because Jim Bob never told her mom.
How does she know all this information? Just spewing out information at the moment. We're getting to the legal point. Well, there's a comment there. We love you, Katie.
Amy is a good person. Derek Dillard told me that she has an NDA. I talked to Derek Dillard via email and Twitter last year, and he told me that Amy has an NDA. I can't do that. So, yeah. No, not all reality TV people have NDAs. She does have super cute clothes. This is actually from her store. No, Grandma Mary was not either. She was never in the cult. Do we know if the Turpin family was in the IBLP? You know, they were quiverful. I don't know that they were in the IBLP, but they were quiverful for sure.
Maybe she didn't. Because I thought she said that NDAs were very hard to get out of. She hasn't gone, and someone questions her about NDAs. So NDA, it depends. It'll be 500. Send the bill to my manager, Poppy. There's proof positive when she is indeed getting her information.
So Reddit calls her famey because they feel like she is trying to chase their fame or clout chase on them, which is actually not true.
No, but you are.
So Amy, honestly, would probably rather have nothing to do with all of this. You know what I mean? Like, she would rather not have to be connected to any of this. She was actually approached to be on the show because a producer found her when she was picking up her grandmother at the Duggars' house.
Again, how does she know this information? Yes, an NDA can be broken legally if the person is reporting a crime. That person cannot be because of the federal whistleblowers law. Well, that's interesting. Thank you, commentator auditor.
Because Amy lived with her grandmother growing up. And she went to go pick up Mary from the Duggars. And the producers saw that she looked like the Duggar girls, saw that she was wearing pants, and they said that they had found a gold mine with her. So they literally added her to the show for the shock value. I don't know. I know that they pay attention to my content, but the thing is they pay attention to all kinds of content. It's not just me that they follow. I'm not the only blogger that covers them. In Touch, Hollywood Gossip, The Sun.
You're not in those leagues. She's just gone, I'm not the only blogger to follow. And then she's gone on The Sun and In Touch to big publications. What's she looking at? Amy did try to get into country singing on the back of the Duggar show.
There's another channel on Facebook that does more videos on the Duggars than I do. Their whole channel is the Duggars. She's
wearing pants so high her. Checking over soldier. So someone says, how would you get off an NDA contract if you had one? Hey, she's a blogger, not a journalist now. Oh, I can't keep up. She's looking for Tardy again, says Christine.
Yeah, Reddit is pretty cruel at times. How would you get off the NDA contract if you had one?
Well, here we go. We're about to get the legal advice.
Well, if you had knowledge of a crime, for instance, if you were aware of it, or if you signed it under duress, if it was coerced, there's a lot of ways that you can get out of it, but you have to go to court or go through court mediation to get out of it. I think hers was tied to, she had a contract because of she did a special with TLC, about going to Nashville or something. hers is for life.
Okay, so can anybody tell me if NDAs are usually for life? She should work for the National Inquiry. She would. Come on. So she's saying it's for life. Hey, a breaking story about a YouTuber Egypt. He was meeting a 13-year-old. Look it up. All on YouTube, done by another YouTuber. Taught with pet. Wow. All right. It's probably looking out the window and there are people outside. They don't go that long. That's not true. You don't go to court to get out of NDAs. You can negotiate with the people you have the NDA. NDAs are unique each time. It depends. I just find life just bizarre. Like, what did she know? What does she know in that time? Oh, wow, the EDP story. The answer is it depends. Like a contract, it comes down to specific terms and governing laws, which can huge on the nature of the NDA. Okay. It depends. Oh, so that's a $500 answer, is it, poppy seeds? The guys who caught him are racist and wounds. Who knows if the evidence can even be used? Wow, Amy. Hello, Amy. I'm just looking at that now. 2 million subscribers. For life is weird wording, but it's usually like, I pay you X money, you shut up about this and never tell anyone. No. Yes, that's $1,000 now. Wow. So would there have likely to have been money changed hands? Or would it have been, you can leave the show, but we went, because surely she would have got something out of it, wouldn't she? I know I would. I know that when I work like at the Australian Open and stuff, we have to sign an NDA for that time that we're there, only for that time. Yeah, it depends on how and the mutual agreement with the two parties. Okay, that will be wow. 13-year-old. Wow. It's bizarre.
NDAs are hard to enforce in court, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to force her to break the NDA.
What do you mean they're hard to enforce in court?
Well, in the case of Amy's NDA, I don't know that it's being used to cover up abuse. So, because I don't think Amy knows anything. Yeah, it does seem ridiculous. You're right.
But didn't she say that she didn't know about the... she was on the show because Jim Bob hadn't told her mother? She's just contradicted herself again. I can't keep up with her.
The Pearls are still spreading their abuse, for sure. Ava Pearl has a YouTube channel. A lot of NDAs are lifelong.
There you go. You heard it right here, right now. As if she could enforce someone to break an NDA. Commentator auditor. Usually NDAs involving shows last until episodes for the NDA have aired, not for life. So if she was on counting, 19 kids and counting, and she's not on counting on because they changed the name, wouldn't, if it was just for the airing of the show episodes, wouldn't it have been, it would have been over if it, let's just say it was until the end of the show. The first show finished. We've got another show. So wouldn't that have then finished? That series had finished. India probably covers whatever they filmed around her, not about her life as a dugged. Yes. I'm just asking questions here. I don't know. I'm just trying to just ask questions because, yeah, I really don't know. But and then someone says, are you reposting this live later? I've never seen a lifelong NDA that doesn't make sense. It is usually temporary and for a specific purpose. Well, Amy has said certain things, so I think the terms of the NDA are rather specific. She's told Katie that Josh never touched her. That's right, without the crystal troll. She said that. So when it finishes, Amy can speak up. I can't imagine agreeing to that. He's too clever. Well, that's what I'm trying to work out. There must be specific. I know a guy who played guitar for Neil Diamond. Couldn't talk about it for 20 years. Wow. It would be cool stories, though. Then someone says, Katie, what does it mean to buy a badge? She ignores that one. No one knows. Busy bee. Don't have a copy of their NDA. No point speculating on the details, to be honest. It could be anything. Yes, for instance, Blue Bacon signed an NDA to appear on Dr. Phil. He could not discuss the episode he was on until that particular episode aired. Okay. I mean, that generally makes sense. It was said publicly that Amy wasn't a Josh. You can tell KJ that. Well, KJ said that as well. She did say that in this live, that she wasn't a victim.
Some are not. The Pearls are still spreading their abuse, for sure. David Pearl has a YouTube channel. A lot of NDAs are lifelong. Some are not.
So I hope you all took down your legal notes. There'll be a test tomorrow.
So, anyways.
Long story short.
You would never get an NDA. Oh, Kenzie needs sleep. I saw your video from Mackenzie McKee. I saw that you videotaped her and posted it to your channel. Or somebody posted a live stream that you posted of Mackenzie McKee onto YouTube. So I don't know if that was you, but somebody has your Instagram live that you recorded and posted it on YouTube.
So yeah, she's save the medal. Oh. There's no usually.
So Jill Rodriguez is like, the issue with her is the more attention I give her, the more attention she gets, and she doesn't have a lot of, she doesn't have a large platform. So if you amplify someone like Jill, you're also giving her an audience. So I'm always like very cautious about what I share about her because I don't want to give her too many eyes on her at any given time. I also don't.
That's a good point, Michelle, because the royal staff has come out and write their book. Look at Diana's butler. I know, it is interesting, isn't it? I'm not sure about that shirt. Did she stretch out the neck? That's an Amy shirt from Amy. That's usually work for work when other NDAs have no average duration. Trade secrets related to NDAs are often indefinite as stated. So would they usually say the NDA is for an indefinite period of time rather than lifelong? Is she confusing lifelong with indefinite? If she bought it from Amy's shop, she says that later. Because an indefinite one would make sense. Lifelong doesn't. That's just me thinking at the moment.
Like, give her access to more people that might potentially buy products from her. So it's always just like, oh, that's your YouTube. Yeah, I was watching it because I was trying to find Mackenzie McKee's live stream about what happened with MTV, and I still think she was not being truthful. Jill Rodriguez doesn't have a TV show. Jill Rodriguez doesn't have a very large social media platform. She doesn't have a large audience. So you have to kind of think about that. Like, when you talk about someone, you're getting all of your eyes to look at that person.
Well, that's right. Lifelong is how long? Is it to the person's life that signed it, or is it somebody else's life? I know, I'm just stirring the pot here. I'm just stirring.
And that's what she wants. So when people say, like, she's going to read a book, she's writing a book, I'm not going to read it because I'm not going to tell my audience about it so that they buy her book. That just helps her money-wise. I mean, maybe I'll read it, but I don't think I would. She's not even that famous.
Now, they do have indefinite in the sense that you can't tell truth, certainly. Can't go around and tell the recipe once you no longer work there. Heck, I have a screenshot I sent to Charlotte, one filled out for Walgreens and said the other no. Wow.
Yeah, she totally thrives off when people talk about her. Exactly, giving them free advertising. Mackenzie said that thing about, she said that thing and she did that thing. I don't even know. I feel like J-Rod will end up being like a parent that ends up on like Dateline NBC. So long story short, that's where I'm at right now. Am I still cool with Mackenzie Edwards? I actually haven't talked to her in several weeks, but I don't know why I wouldn't be. I think people have this like misconception with personalities that if you do a negative story or if you don't have an opinion that's beneficial to that person, they're somehow not going to like talk with you anymore. And that's just like not how reality TV people are. They understand that you have a job to do. At least most people in the reality TV world understand you have a job to do. And so they're not going to expect that you always promote their narrative. If I was constantly promoting a narrative of somebody, then I would look like I'm being bought by that person.
So you're going to watch the so someone said she unfollowed you. That's why I asked. The only way I can see someone having a lifelong NDA agreement in the US is if that person signed one working for the federal government and had access to highly classified documents. That would be something else that she has. I'm a 50-year-old and grandma that's had enough of KJ time to do digging on her.
If she unfollowed me, I don't know. I haven't talked to her in a while. She could be upset with a video I made. Who knows? Honestly, it doesn't matter to me.
Yes, it does.
I get unfollowed and refollowed. I have some people that I talk to regularly that don't even follow me.
Now we're going to drop a name.
Unfollowing and following doesn't mean anything. Like, I don't follow Lindsay Chrisley and she doesn't follow me. And we still talk all the time. Sometimes you just don't follow people on social media. Because you don't want, I don't know.
And sometimes you can't follow people because they blocked you.
I don't don't want the perception that I'm following someone to be like that I'm endorsing them.
I know, she talks to people that don't follow her.
What matters is if you can talk to them offline. All right, so I am done with this. That was my... Well, sometimes, yeah, I needed to hear that. I don't know what you needed to hear. I just don't follow a lot of people because it clogs up my my feed.
She doesn't follow a lot of people because it clogs up her feed. Clogs up my feed.
That's it. So I don't like follow a lot of people. I'll just check on their stuff. But I can see if they're you can still look at people's social media and not be following them. So anyway.
Yes, and she ended. That's how she ended. She ended mid-sentence. That's how she ended. Now, what happened, which is really funny. She was mid-sentence and she ended. It's like, hang on, have I just lost something? But the funny thing is, she clogs every feed. The really interesting thing that she did, this was funny, less than a couple of minutes after she finished her live. So she finished her live. So remember, she said she doesn't care if anyone follows her, right? Then she does this. She says, someone said Mackenzie Edwards wasn't following me, so I checked. She is. I will always be objective in reporting. I don't take sides frequently, so I might not always agree with the Edwards or the McKinneys. But she went and checked straight after her live. For somebody that doesn't care, she had to go check. And then she had to blast it. Hi, E. Something to be mindful is that just because an NDA might not be enforceable doesn't mean Joe Smith isn't effectively bound by it until court deems it so. Suing or being sued court costs. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I found to be rather interesting. So she does care. But it was very, very, very bizarre, the ending. There was, do you remember Mythbusters? There was a guy in Mythbusters who would say something about inserting the own reality. It'd be fun to make a bobblehead of KJ, but instead of up and down, it would look side and side. Thank you, Linda. So sign NDA under the assumption that it's unenforceable, even if it isn't good legal strategy for your average Joe who has $5 to their name and no resources to challenge it. I'd rather have a dartboard with her picture. She stopped talking. Yes, she did. All right. So I just did a search for Amy Duggar NDA out of interest. What I'm finding very interesting is I've seen 3 or 4 articles that quote a certain YouTube channel. So The Sun, you know that cousin Amy Duggar admitted she can't talk about her famous family because she has a non-disclosure agreement. And then and has been doubled. When Amy began to talk about Jano, her family member said you have an NDA. Then it says here, in March, Amy had an interview on YouTube channel without a crystal ball, but the video was set to private. Host Katie Joy said in a video, I had the chance to speak with Amy Duggar King while this video was premiering. I received a message from Amy that someone wanted the video down. Someone. When I found out shortly after this video went live and while it was premiering that this video would need to come down, I was shocked. Nothing was said negatively at all about the family. Then Amy tweeted, I've said it once, I'll say it again. A woman's voice should never be silenced. But there's been nothing about how long it is for. So, don't know what's going on there, but it's funny. I've clicked on 3 articles and they all reference Katie Joy. So very interesting. Toilet seat cover. Sorry about talking so much about NDAs. I don't like when KJ talks like she knows what she's saying, but really no. No, there's no apologies needed. So apparently, according to one of the other ones, that had to be removed and deleted, but don't know. I'm just trying to have. Oh. So anyway, a few of them have KJ should not be the same way, mate. It should not have used good news to answer criminal complaints. So anyway, that's all the interesting stuff. Hello, Lady Crane. But I can't find anything that says how long it is. I've got not related to Dr. Todd Hubby to take his Lipitor at bedtime, but he always forgets to. I have no idea. I thought my dad took his in the morning. I think my dad takes his in the morning. It reminds me of a full sewage truck hose dragging behind goes down the road. A bit like that, silly crow. But yeah, I'd say check with it, or even give the doctor's surgery a call and see. In the morning, Google. Okay, yes, I thought my dad takes it in the morning too. So here's another article. Amy Duggar King reveals NDA on Instagram Live, watches what she says about Duggars. Recently, Amy Duggar King and her mum, Deanna Duggar, were on Instagram Live and joked about the document. The Duggar family name came up. The mother stopped her daughter, reminding her about the NDA. So it says here she knows a lot about what happened within the family, so the NDA to protect them made sense to Bob Duggar. From the context on Instagram Live, it appears Deanna Duggar may have also signed an agreement. But then it goes on to say this. So a few months back, Amy Duggar King talked with Katie Joy from Without a Crystal Ball. There was talk about everything from mummyhood to why women shouldn't be silenced. Around the 55-minute mark, Katie makes an impression of what appears to be Michelle Duggar, and Amy couldn't stop the laughs. Even though she may not be able to speak out without being sued, she has shown support for her cousin Jill Duggar. Amy Duggar King co-signed a claim made by Derek Dillard and encouraged him to continue to talk about what is happening. So there you go. But I've not seen anything that says how long it is. Nobody seems to know. Only person that has any information about the NDA is Katie Joy herself. It is. Oh, look, it's annoying. Well, 127 people watching. This is amazing. So thank you very much. It's really appreciated. I'm going to actually say goodnight. I have had a big, long day today. Busy day. I did have a sleep this afternoon. But I will catch you tomorrow night. I will not be on my Saturday night. I actually am away. The choir is actually doing our first weekend trip away. We're going to country Victoria, so I won't be here Saturday. I won't be online Saturday, but I'll be around on Monday. I saw that live. KJ did. Amy laughed. It sounded like an uncomfortable laugh. I would agree with that, Christine. I remember that too. All right. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you for all the emails. I'm very slow at responding to emails, even sending emails. Sometimes I'm getting a lot of spam stuff at the moment. It just takes me a while. I'm pretty sorry. I've got a pretty full workload at the moment with my university studies. So I'm just trying to juggle everything at the moment. So it's I'm really appreciate it. So thank you very much. I will get to respond. I might have to get my manager to respond on my behalf, or I'll have to get Harrison to write back to you. You know what he'll say. Anyway, thank you all for watching. It's really appreciated. You have a good one.